What some people might not know about me is that I love animals. I find them fascinating and interesting creatures. In this series of programs, I'm going to be looking at the different species of animals and explore their origins, behaviours, and give you my observations and thoughts on these great animals that inhabit our world. I will look in depth at these creatures and see the wonders they have to show. So let's now go and explore the wonder of animals. In today's program, we are going to explore one of my favourite species of animal, the great apes. The great apes come from the Hominidae family, which consist of gorillas, chimpanzees, orangutans, and humans, which is why I find them so fascinating. As you observe apes, you see human traits in their behaviour. They act like us and are so much like us, but at the same time, not like us. They are our closest living relatives in the animal kingdom. From the acrobatic orangutan to the inventive chimpanzees and the majestic gorilla, they are truly a wonderful and fascinating species. Most people find these creatures fascinating and are always popular in zoos. This is because they behave and act like us, and we are very similar. For example, they dream like us. The apes have been observed going into REM sleep, rapid eye movement. This is the dream state, the state of which you start dreaming. Apes might look very different from us, but that is because they are covered in so much hair. But if you look at human skin, it is covered in tiny hairs. We hardly notice it, but it is said it is dense as that of the great apes. Apes also nurse their young through their childhood, like humans. Chimps also build up lifelong friendships and rivalries, as do humans. So you see, they are so much like us, and yet they are not us. They cannot speak in the way we do. Our muscle is 5 to 10 times weaker than apes, and their hair and nails do not need to be cut. The chimpanzees and gorillas come from and only live in equatorial Africa. Equatorial Africa is the tropical part of Africa. The chimps and gorillas only live in forested areas. Apes are mostly vegetarians and so live in rainforests. It's only in these warm, wet environments that plants are able to produce a continuous year-round crop of fruit, enough to satisfy the demands of these large and specialized feeders. It also explains why such large animals are up in the trees and not on the forest floor, as the best food is high up in the forest canopy. A gorilla child is born lighter than a human baby, but it grows fast to become the largest of all the apes. An adult gorilla grows to about 6 feet tall and weighs around 450 pounds. Contrary to modern myth, male gorillas are rarely aggressive and will only charge humans as a last resort when their group is threatened. Orangutans are very different from their cousins in the ape family. They only live on the islands of Sumatra and Borneo in Malaysia. They are shy, solitary animals that rarely come in contact with one another. They are the only tree-dwelling great apes. They sleep in nests high in the forest canopy. They are extremely acrobatic and can move around the canopy faster and better than their cousins. The female orangutan are half the size of males, and people say they could be of another species, as there is such a difference in males and females. But of course, they are not. The bonobos are one of my favourites in the great ape family. Previously called the pygmy chimpanzee, the bonobos are most like us out of all the great apes. Bonobos come from the Congo Basin in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Central Africa. Bonobos live on the south side of the Congo River, separating them from the other chimps and thus isolating themselves. Away from their cousins, they have become less aggressive and have become more like us. Out of all the apes, the bonobos are most like us. For one, they love sex. Sex for pleasure, that is, like humans. Female bonobos hook up with one another about once every 2 hours. They are not choosy about who their partners are either. They can be of any age or sex. Male on male, female on female is not uncommon. Bonobos are empathetic. They sense upset and distress in others. They are also extremely intelligent. One bonobo called Kansi learnt how to use a symbol-covered keyboard to communicate with researchers. Bonobos, like all apes, are self-aware. When looking in the mirror, they see themselves and not another ape. I also personally believe that out of all the apes, they look the most human. When looking at a bonobo, you can see human features that can remind you of someone you know. We now move on to the less formal part of the programme. My views on these apes from the footage I have filmed and observed. In this part of the programme, I will be viewing and giving you my thoughts on footage I filmed myself at the Artist Zoo in Amsterdam. So looking here, we start off with a clip from the gorilla enclosure at the Artist Zoo. There we got the big sturdy silverback and the children playing. And it's like how me and my brother would kind of play. Kind of like it's fun, it's jolly, and it's interesting how they are so much like humans. And this was where I did find out about the strength of a gorilla. The gorilla does have the power to rip a human being in two, especially a silverback, male dominant gorilla. But as we found out in the program, that they aren't really aggressive, and that they're only aggressive and attack if their group or their family is in danger. So that poor gorilla that was killed in that zoo because that child fell in, would the gorilla have seen it as a threat? Probably not. So yes, they didn't need to kill that poor gorilla. And they are I think they are endangered, some of them. So yeah, that is the gorilla. Now come to some footage. I think these are gorillas as well. Yeah, that child looks very much like a gorilla, the shape of the head. We've got kind of the female gorilla there and her children playing. The gorilla children are quite cute. They look cute.
a little adorable. They're kind of rounded faces. I think the chimpanzees and the bonobos look most human-like. The gorillas still look a bit like apes, but to me, gorillas are apes. They are like the father of apes. To me, the chimpanzees are more to me like monkeys, and the gorillas are kind of to me the epitome of apes. They are apes, but it's probably because you see them in all the films and things that they look like the apes. They're kind of gorillas and things, but yeah, that's the gorillas. And now we come to one of my favourite clips that I filmed, kind of the inspiration for kind of this show and everything, kind of observing apes and their similarity with humans. We see here one, like we talk about empathy, kind of one comforting the other, one, these friends just come in to have a chat and to see what's going on. This one's got a bit of a hard on, but we can't tell that. And that one's a female because you can tell the enlarged rectal area she wants to be mated with. This was during the summer, so he's, and then we can see here the grooming and kind of interactions here, very kind of human-like. Yeah, the kind of empathy here with the apes. And I just love the one that person just comes and goes, all right, how are you? I'm coming to say how you are. See how you are. How you're, yeah, having a bit of nibble there, and like, oh yeah, I'd like her. So we keep, and like, yeah, so it's very, very human-like, and I do like it. A little baby down there, very cute, and it's very, very interesting watching apes. I find it extremely interesting and exciting, you know. Yeah, I love this clip. It's one of my favourites because when I was there at the zoo, I was fixated on this woman here sitting there, and this is her child here playing and exploring as children do, and then he comes over to mother eventually, and here she is, and she could be like a mother at the park, just sitting there watching her child while her child goes off and plays. And you know, it's like they're so human, and she's like sitting there going, well, I don't know what to do, just sit here, my child's playing over there, and I just find it so fascinating, isn't it? There's this human interaction here. We can empathise and see human traits here, and I think it's fascinating. And the child playing like a child would, and I just love the mother-child interaction here. It's so much like it could be anything else. The two of these chimps just sitting there having a good play, and then the baby comes over to mother, and mother's just sitting there content and looking after her child. And I just find it fascinating, kind of human interactions. And as we go through looking at different programs, maybe looking at monkeys, you also see the similarity between humans and monkeys, and that's also interesting as well, but that's for another episode. But to round up my observations here, I just find it fascinating looking at these clips about how humans and apes are so similar in their behaviours and everything, and it's absolutely fascinating. So next time you go to a zoo and you look at a chimpanzee or a gorilla, or if you're lucky enough to see an orangutan or a bonobo, then observe them and watch them and see the different kind of interactions and see human traits in them, because they are fascinating creatures. And I hope you enjoy this episode, and I hope you tune in to watch the next episode of Toby's Wonder of Animals. Thank you for watching.